in a surprising turn of events, not really that surprising, Nikki Haley's time in the spotlight might be coming to an end here. There's only one thing keeping Nikki Haley in this race, and that's of course the money behind her. Of course, Nikki Haley's going to continue to shower in the Benjamins, essentially indefinitely, until the powers behind her decide that, well, they've had enough. Enough of this endless money pit. It's time to give up on this little experiment. Well, you guessed it, that's exactly what's happening. Nikki Haley might be done pretty soon here, as the money is slowly drying up after her historically bad, abysmal performance in the South Carolina primary. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so that's it. First Democrat mega donor Reid Hoffman decided to pause Haley funding after the last abysmal showing, and now it's the Koch brothers.
Elsewhere in the Republican politics, in a big financial blow to Nikki Haley's bid for the GOP nomination, conservative billionaire Charles Koch and the super PAC Americans for Prosperity Action are now suspending funding to the former South Carolina governor's campaign following her 20-point loss to Donald Trump in her home state over the weekend. Although Americans for Prosperity Action has poured $31 million into Haley's campaign's coffers, the PAC CEO said in an email to staffers that the Koch-backed group no longer believed it could make a material difference to widen Haley's path to victory.
Did you see that staggering amount? The AFP Action Super PAC spent more than $31 million boosting Nikki Haley in the race. $31 million bucks. I'm getting flashbacks to all the times that Nikki Haley said that she was the anti-establishment candidate. She was the political outsider.
It's a two-person race, and the question before Americans is now very clear. Do you want more of the same? Or do you want a new generation of conservative leadership? The political elite weren't ready for me when I ran for governor, and they're not ready for me now.
Blah, blah, blah. Words. Words that sound great, but so far has led to no action.
Yeah, the candidate that's artificially propped up by the mainstream media, the Democrat establishment, and the Koch brothers. Yeah, sounds like an anti-establishment political outsider to me. Nikki Haley is fading, and here's what I think is happening. We joke a whole lot with the Trump derangement syndrome stuff, and a lot of people could say that the money behind Nikki Haley is just Trump derangement syndrome bucks. They're gonna run her to the end. Because their hatred for anything Donald Trump runs so deeply that they'd be willing to sacrifice millions, pouring it into a saboteur like Nikki Haley, just because they'd rather see the whole thing burn than see another Donald Trump glorious victory. But I don't think that's the case. Maybe there's a certain element of that. Maybe that was Reid Hoffman's angle. I think he donated, the latest number I saw was $250,000. There it makes sense, and many other people donating to Nikki Haley. But the $31 million from the Koch brothers that was essentially keeping her going, that wasn't Trump derangement syndrome bucks. That was viewed as an investment. Nikki Haley's political stock, hoping to either unseat Donald Trump, which clearly they failed in, or to transition her possibly into the next election cycle as a big Republican heavy hitter, ready to take the party back from the MAGA cult and into the hands of the Republican establishment of old. Well, I think after South Carolina, the Koch brothers gave up on that little dream. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, she overperformed, but we debunked that nonsense yesterday. She certainly didn't. Her loss was historically bad, and I think the people behind her are now noticing that. What's the point? Keep dumping millions upon millions of dollars into a candidate going nowhere and going nowhere fast. Not only in the short term, not only in this primary, but just in general. Reality has settled in, and Nikki Haley, in my view, is done. Give it maybe a couple more weeks, I think we're going to see her continue to fade into obscurity. Until eventually, you simply won't hear much about Nikki Haley, because, trust me when I tell you this, without millions of dollars putting her face everywhere, you won't hear much from Nikki Haley. Her online presence isn't exactly something that people are looking for. Remember all those Nikki Haley moments and all those tweets and all the things we covered relating to the former South Carolina governor before this whole election started? Yeah, me neither, and that's kind of the point. Nikki Haley's gonna fade into absolute irrelevance and nothingness. So I guess the denial phase is over. Now we're headed towards the phase of acceptance. It's time to accept the reality that Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. That is the will of the people, and it seems as though, what better way to finish a Nikki Haley video than by covering all the great news surrounding Donald Trump and his current re-election bid, or rather bid for a second disconnected term. Nikki Haley kept telling us that she needs to be the nominee. She's the only one who could do it, but I don't know. I'm seeing something very different. Here's a poll that was just released by Kaplan Strategies. 1,000 registered voters. This happened in late February on the 23rd to be exact. Act with 1,000 registered voters, Donald Trump supposedly, according to this data, leading Joe Biden in the state of Michigan, in the very important swing state of Michigan, by 10 points. In the latest Harvard-Harris poll, Donald Trump trounces Joe Biden by 6 nationally, and by 7 if RFK is brought into the picture. We also have this poll from Pan Atlantic Research, covering the general election in the state of Maine. Donald Trump at 38% over Joe Biden's 32% with a +6 lead, which is a pretty wide swing considering back in November, Biden was up by a +1 margin. We've got all these claims of Donald Trump being so unelectable and so unlikable, but let's just keep looking at the favorability ratings. The reality is that Donald Trump and actually many Republicans are viewed as the most favorable. The recent Harvard-Harris poll lists Donald Trump with a +3 favorability rating, Vivek Ramaswamy with a +5, Nikki Haley with a +5 as well, which isn't exactly surprising considering how many Democrats absolutely love her, Elon Musk with a +11, and RFK Jr. with a +17, and lowly pathetic Joe Biden with a -11 rating. The idea that Donald Trump is unlikable or unelectable is a joke. All that's needed right now to seal the freaking deal, at least the way that I'm viewing it, is for people like Nikki Haley to simply listen to Michael Jordan. Just listen, please.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stop it. Get some help, please. The moment Nikki Haley resigns, the moment Nikki Haley gets out of the way, the moment the establishment gets out of the way, the moment Ronna McDaniel is replaced, the moment there's even a little bit of a semblance of unity, let's call it Republican campaigning cohesion, that's the moment we fly. I've had enough of these paid talking heads. Nikki Haley will say one thing when she's the ambassador in the Trump administration, oh how great Donald Trump is. She'll say one thing when he's her boss, but then she'll say another when the Koch brothers are paying her to go against him. Enough with the internal sabotage, the infighting, the political puppetry. Enough of the gaslighting nonsense suggesting that Donald Trump was a disaster and is bad for the nation. I like the Byron Donalds description.
The number one reason why minority voters in our country want to support Donald Trump is because he did the job of president. He did a great job as president. Our country was secure. The economy was great. These are all things that Donald Trump talked about Friday night. He also did talk about the indictments. What Americans don't want to see, especially black Americans and anybody else, they don't want to see a politicized Justice Department. They don't want to see a two-tier system of justice. They want justice to be followed. They want Lady Justice to be blind. That's what the American people want. That's what black voters want. That's what everybody wants.
Those are the facts. Enough with the sabotage. Push the message forward. Unite the party. There's an incompetent, corrupt vegetable in office, which I know the Koch brothers are a massive fan of. They're loving all the cheap labor. But the simple reality is the people don't want it. The people want Trump. And so, Nikki, it's time to go away. Back under the Patrick Star rock from which you came. It's time to stop dealing with the nonsense. Most importantly, it's time to win this damn thing. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.